As a part of our Art Shop Talks series, Vanguard Culture Board member and independent curator Kai Essary had the opportunity to visit Einar and Jamex de la Torre's new art studio in the beautiful Valle de Guadalupe Valley in Baja California, Mexico. This region is known for its exceptional wine production and culinary arts that rival some of the best in the Mediterranean and around the world.
Hi, we're the De La Torre brothers. I'm Einar. Hi, everybody. A virtual welcome for our new studio. I'm Jamex, and we are in the Valle de Guadalupe. It's our new studio. We haven't opened it officially because of COVID to the public, but here you're having a virtual tour. Come on in. So we wanted to make the studio sort of commune with the tree, kind of like a cathedral for art, of course. And here's where we make our mixed media work. This, for instance, is a chacmol done with glass in two parts. The head one part, the body is another, and the base is cast resin that will be polished absolutely transparent when we're finished. So long glass pieces that we make ourselves. We just now started making long glass here in the studio in a smaller scale. We also have this hunted or found objects that we have all over the studio because we use them over the years. Sometimes they get stuck and we use them years later, and we have stores of them. This is probably a perfume bottle, Avon maybe. So we combine our glass work with these objects that I like to say, instead of found objects, that we seek and look for specific things that really talk to us in terms of our usage of mixed media, including this little giving. It was a little coin offering from a church. Here's another long glass figure, little dog with an attached head. The head comes from this torso that Einar found in the flea market. He decapitated it, and we are working on it to create a new mixed media piece. So the head in this one is blown glass, while the head from this one ended up on this little animal spirit or tonali, and with a wonderful little sort of Day of the Dead face. So the animal spirit also goes to the underworld. So you can see on the tables, we have lots of materials that we have collected, material culture, as it were. It is the stuff that the culture produces and consumes. Sometimes we even use glass parts that are cast. This is a cast glass part that has very little bit of hand work on it from factories, maybe Old Libby factory in the United States, or Fenton are some of the names. And lately we've been making a lot of lenticular work. Lenticular work, to show you one panel. As you can see, it's a thin panel. The print is completely flat. But lenticular means there's a lens in front that has small lines that act as a parallax blocker, meaning you see one image or then you see the other. Very difficult to photograph because you need stereo vision and movement to judge depth. So with a camera, you can see some of the movement that happens. As you move, you can see one image or the other.
Has COVID changed your perception of things or inspired new works that wouldn't have happened otherwise?
Well, yes and no. I mean, I think that an artist works, alone, or in our case, collaboratively. But you're working in your studio alone. You're not working in a cubicle with a bunch of other people. So a lot of the process of artwork hasn't changed at all. What has changed, of course, is the social, communication with friends and the closeness of that. It affects us just as much as everybody else, but our working pattern itself is actually, I don't think most artists have changed very much. unless your work is social, like glass blowing is a good example. You're sharing glass blowing pipes with people, and of course now there's all this protocol of using all kinds of systems to not expose each other to something that your lips are touching. But other than that, in our studio in mixed media, we're working just as much and just as hard as ever.
But COVID does bring to face the fragility of a moment. And we artists are always trying to look into that, be it obliquely through reflection. But COVID is a little bit more in your face. So in a sense, it makes us question a little bit harder on what we do or what we attempt to do. And we have to be ready with those answers, which I don't really have right now.
So, how did you first get involved with glasswork, or why glass?
Why glass? To us, I think we're sculptors before we're vessel makers, and glass is the single most spontaneous sculpting medium that there is. That's why.
Yeah. So this is Einar. I think we love what my brother's talking about, the spontaneity. If you're in the hot seat, so to speak, making work, there's a hot furnace that's 1800 degrees, and there's a crew of people helping you. You can't stop. You have to plow forward. So you shoot from the hip, and you're using drawings and you're communicating the best you can. But there's an immediacy to getting the work done because it's costing. It's a big footprint when it comes to carbon. So you don't want to mess around too much. You really need to get the work done. And we love the fact that there is this pressure to get the idea out.
Blowing glass is sort of like a watercoloring. You cannot paint over what you have done. So in a way, spontaneity is forced upon you. You have to deal with it. And your decisions are pretty much final.
So this is a project that we're doing for Sacramento.
So this has been the flames of a rocket, kind of like a 1960s toy rocket. It's going to be about 25 feet high for the Sacramento Convention Center. So this is just a model of the flames to be produced in bronze.
And this is a tiny scale of it, kind of like a tree, a uprooted tree kind of feeling. It's a very Baroque fire coming out of this rocket. And here's a series of molds that he's pressing into to get the Baroque textures.
What do you want people to take away from experiencing your work?
I think as an artist, that's a tough one because we work so hard to remove ourselves to worry about that. Because we want to be as free as possible to do what we need to do. So worrying about how people would take it is it's not an easy one to answer, but yet we do worry. We do worry about how people perceive our work and what they take from our work.
It's a hard job to consider everybody's point of view, but at the same time, it's the artist to try, because the artist should try to consider all of the possible readings. But the beauty is that the most important reading is the one that the artist hasn't considered, meaning that as much as you try, you still are going to have newfound ideas that you never even imagined. So I always like to answer the question, why exhibit your artwork, is so that I believe that the answer to that is so that we can understand what we have made. Because through all of our consideration, it's still up to the real jury is the people, the art viewer. And listening to what they think about your art becomes part of the plethora of considerations for your work in the future, and it informs you. Indeed, and it's the most important information, because you learn about what you made through people's reactions.
We don't want to be tied down to the fascism of having to say something per se, because I think art needs to be free. I mean, completely free. And art doesn't care. If you have an idea or an idealism about anything, art doesn't care. And you have to be above that and be free. In a way, that's our job to reflect what our reality is. And in doing so, you can't be going around saying this is right or this is wrong. You have to reflect and say, I'm part of this.
We do want to be part of, I guess inevitably we are part of the time we live in. We are conscious that when you do political art, there is political art that can live through the ages, and there's political art that is very much marked by the specific moment you're living. And we've done both, and we really want to have politics be a broader brush so that at least it can talk to things that may be broader spectrum than the 5-10 years that you're living at the very moment.
I think art is, we think that art is a relatively poor messenger of change, but it is a really good reflective tool. It has reflected society as it is over the ages rather well, and I think that is the potential for art, is to give us a tool for introspection.
And indeed, because it is a reflection, it's a responsibility. There is a responsibility, I think, to an artist to be part of the times that you're living, and I don't think that should be taken lightly. But at the same time, it's inextricable. You can only talk about your experience in your life and your immediate circumstances. So you cannot. There is work that, of course, is ahead of its time, but only within the context of its time. Otherwise, it wouldn't be ahead of anything. This piece is called Feminencia, or Feminines. It has an image of Terre, which is a Buddhist female deity, and then switching to Leopold from the history of Belgium. We like the way he looks nervous with all the female attention. It's about the power, the feminine power, and why some men feel threatened by it.
How do you feel about the meaning you put into a piece and what people get out of it?
There's two answers to that one, because generally speaking, the viewing public can do whatever the hell they want to do with your piece, and that is completely all right, and you might even learn from it. But when another viewing public, mainly be a curator, makes an assumption about your work that you didn't intend to, then it's kind of problematic. But essentially and fundamentally, you want the piece to have its own life, and if it contradicts what you were trying to say, well, you have to learn to accept that.
So when you exhibit in different countries, you're going to have different contextualizations of your work, because we assume that everybody knows the same stories you do, but the truth is that is a big part of where we are, has to do with the stories of the area we live in. For instance, if we talk about the Virgen de Guadalupe, of course, all of Mexico knows what that means very well, and the border states with the United States know what that means pretty good. And as you go further north in the United States, it's less known. So I think it is part of the job of the artist and also of the institution that is exhibiting to understand that some people may not know some of these stories that well, because now we're showing it in Bavaria or in the Czech Republic, and you need to therefore contextualize some of the imagery because it's very foreign to them. Mind you, again, the artwork should exist alone, but the readings of it will be very wildly different if they don't have any context to the imagery you're using. I don't think there's anything wrong with artwork being seen without that, but it is
It is what it is. It is artwork being seen without the context of what it could be seen is in the original culture or cultures that perceive that to be a certain icon or deity. And I think that any time that you use deities and icons of another culture, then you have to be careful that you're using it in the appropriate way, because you can be corrected if you're using it in a storytelling that is abrasive or even counter to the original meaning.
This year we will be exhibiting at La Caja in Tijuana, the Galería La Caja, and that will be in May, I believe. Teaching in Penland, if everything goes well with COVID, and so on. Last next meeting workshop, 2-week workshop in June. And in the end of the year, we will open the first ever Smithsonian Latino Center exhibition at the Cheech Center, which will also be a grand opening of the Cheech. I believe it's late this year, if not early next year, and that's in Riverside, California. It's affiliated with the Riverside Art Museum. That will be, I believe, again, probably early next year. We will also be showing our European tour will be going now to the Museum of Glass in Marina Grande in Portugal at the end of the year 21.
It's nice to have, in-house, we have each other to go over these ideas, so we know when we're maybe doing something that seems to be worthy of more exploration, or something that's just, quite honestly, frivolous. And it's a creative process is always on the edge of this precipice of being ridiculous or superfluous, but the beautiful thing lies there in that fine line.
Thank you again for supporting the arts. We'll see you at the next Art Shop Talk.